Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel of evolution. My name is Shuby and we are here today to raise our vibration, expand our consciousness, dive deep into some kick-ass symbolism, and break away from all of our wounds and limitations and everything that stops us and destroys and holds on to our energy in poor places, get rid of our energy leaks, and just become limitless, vitality-loaded, kick-ass individuals who love life all the time because we got it under control and we are just happy 24/7. So, I was writing this journal for a class and I just ended up blowing up and I had this idea and next thing you know, you got like 15 pages of information and you keep mind blown thinking about everything. That fires me up as a person. This is what my soul is all about and my whole purpose on life was all about and everything I had to go through was all about. So I'm drawn to that. But for everybody else, because I am different than the rest of the world and I know everybody has different preferences, but that's the potential I want to cover today, right? Everyone has a different idea. You know, this is where conflict comes from. This is where destruction comes from. This is why world peace cannot exist, at least within the level of consciousness that we were in the past. And I think it's great right now because people are coming up to this high awareness, high vibration. We're getting there. We still have much work to do, but we are getting there, you know? So, the conflict arises because we have two different ideas, right? That's the way it works. Dualistic nature. So it's like everything I believe is obviously right. Duh. Except for anybody else who doesn't think like I think. Should be wrong. No, obviously not. So if anybody believes one set of rules, right, and they rise to power, well then they put their rules upon everybody else. And therefore anybody who has a different perspective is now enslaved and being forced into bondage because, well, whoever writes the laws and writes the stories has a different idea of what is just or unjust, what should be enforced and how we should live. And therefore, once you get this like tyranny or communist leader or dictator or, you know, it doesn't even matter, but once you start putting any person in charge and they start doing things that disagrees with an entire class of people or an entire group of people, or it ties them into bondage or feeling like slavery, well then they are gonna revolt and they are gonna attack, you know. And sometimes when you turn the power spectrum, not to complete control on the other side, well then it becomes limitation for the other side again, you know. And this is where we've been in constant conflict with war since the beginning of consciousness, right? And it's why? Why can't we all just get along, you know? Well, maybe it's because we are so stuck in a certain low vibration level of consciousness that we project our ideas onto the external world and we believe that everything should be as we envision it. And that fear of anything else except for our dream world of what we imagine to be the greatest thing ever, when that doesn't come true, well, then it's chaos and it's hell. And why can't I just be the greatest person ever? You know, why aren't I a billionaire? Why don't I run the world? Why am I not a king? Hey, no idea. Well, you get these ideas, and when they don't line up, it's chaos. But now, somebody else has a completely different perspective. And the greatest thing about that is you can actually bounce ideas off each other. You know, when you're open with yourself, when you know yourself, you can talk to somebody who is completely different than you and you don't force your ideas onto them. And you guys can both grow incredibly powerful with high energy and love each other, even though you're completely fucking different. But we can't seem to do that now because, well, we hate the other person because they're stupid. Gah! Obviously, they believe in some messed up shit. You know, this person's a leper and well, they should be doing this. And, you know, obviously, if you're not following this guideline for working out, you're a poor athlete. You know, and if you don't eat these 6 foods, you're probably unhealthy and stupid. You know, I have these ideas, and therefore, if everyone else should follow them. Well, ain't that messed up? So how do we accept people who have differing views? Well, first thing first is we need to know how to avoid conflict. You know, because now when we are expressing ourselves and somebody comes along with a differing view, we attack. Ha! Well, then they're like, defend. Next thing you know, conflict. You got 2 people that are fighting each other over something stupid because they can't get along. And they can't get along because, well, instead of being like, why do you believe that? And then deep diving into a conversation that is incredibly in depth of why they have a belief or an idea, and discovering how kick-ass it is, they instead say, you're stupid, shut up. Idiot. Well, now, conflict. You know, what if people could actually know yourself and love yourself so much that you could go up and talk to somebody who thinks everything you believe in is crazy, they don't understand it, doesn't even matter, and you can just openly talk to them? Imagine that. It would be awesome. You know, I think, like, imagine a giant dragon, you know? Everything we've been told about dragons, you know, they're like evil and they breathe fire and they're gonna burn you and kill you and everything you're just gonna suffer. You know, so imagine you're walking by and this dragon is right in front of your face and he just goes, then he just starts blasting fire at you. And it's so, fire comes to here, and once it gets right in front of your face, you just go, whoop, and you stand to the side, and then the fire goes over here, and wah, 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 wah. And you're just like, hey. And you're calm and you're peaceful because you understand what a dragon is doing, and that his anger is simply being manifested right now for some reason. Just imagine you could run, you could give him the reaction that he wants, or you could just like take some asparagus out of your pocket and use that fire to cook it, you know? And then the next thing you know, like throw some cilantro and some lime on there, and you're just like, perfect, this is epic. And then you're just so filled with gratitude because this dragon, who most people would see as he came at you trying to kill you, just cooked your food. And now you are sustained and you're full and you have a great tummy and a bit of information that you were able to pull from him. You took this as a gift. This is awesome, you know? Somebody seen as a monster is appreciated. What's going to happen? They were looking for a different thing. You know, they were looking for a knight in shining armor who had a sword and was ready to slay it. Because these were just the ideas that we were told. Now, how do you break the paradigm? Well, you have to know yourself. You have to dive deep into knowing yourself. You know, and this is hard for a lot of us to do because it's going to require potential pain and suffering. You know, I was reading the Emerald Tablets, and there was this awesome part that says, that these books, the Emerald Tablet was written in a language that came from Atlantis, the sunken, forgotten city. And it was the coolest thing ever. They said that this language was written in a symbol or in a word that could not be read by anything other than frequency. Which is just so cool, because it means that nobody can interpret it unless you are at a level of consciousness ready to interpret it. And this happens with everything, Think about your favorite book or your favorite movie, and you watch it the first time and you resonate with one part, right, really well because it's like, well, that's what your level of consciousness is drawn to, and you attract to it and you love it and you see it. And this is awesome. And then next thing you know, over the next 6 months, you think on that and you raise your level of consciousness and you bring yourself into a higher vibration, a higher frequency. And then 6 months down the road, you reread it or rewatch it. And for some reason, something different attracts you. And it pulls your attention. You're like, holy shit, I can't believe I didn't see that before. This is even deeper. This is even cooler. It's more in depth. This is awesome. Next thing you know, you raise your consciousness again and you rewatch it, and the same thing, it repeats itself. You know, you're constantly taking in more and more and more, and you can understand it on a deeper and deeper and deeper level. You know, and this is just the coolest thing ever, because at the same time, you know, you realize if you look back into your past, into the pain, into the emotional traumas that you experience, you can realize that the same thing happened. Like, I remember when I was a drunk and I hated myself, you know, and I needed alcohol, and I looked for a reason for why I needed alcohol all the time. And the only thing I could see was anything that would justify my ideas. You know, I needed confirmation. I couldn't see anything positive because I was looking for negative. I was looking for a reason to hold on to something that was poor for me. So my perception was limited. But once you get out of that and you get past that and you start to raise your vibration, you get back up into this positive light, you can look back on something like that and realize, holy shit, I had all these opportunities and I missed all of them because I was so focused on the wrong thing. I couldn't read. I couldn't read that knowledge because my frequency was low. I couldn't interpret this gold, you know, and this is why bringing your frequency up is allowing your perception to open, your awareness to open. You know, you have to have an open mind to accept differing views and ideas to avoid the conflict, you know, and how do we do this? Like, we have to go into the catacombs, everything that's deep within the depths of our stomachs, within the depths of our mind, you know. A lot of times we go through these traumatic experiences and it's like we create this restricted section, you know? It's like we have all of this library and all this information rolling through our brain, and we create a restricted section. We put up walls to protect our wounds, and we throw that into our subconscious, right? And to hide all that, to suppress all that, to keep it away from people because we can't face them because they hurt, and we lock them away into the depths. And it takes so much energy out of us to hide that and suppress that. If we can bring it back out, you know, reveal the lashes and the cuts, throw some soap in there, scrub the shit out of them, and heal that shit. We no longer have to utilize that energy to suppress it. We no longer have to utilize that energy to hide it. We don't give a shit about what anybody says about it. We just love ourselves because we are what we are 100%, and that's all we will ever be. And when you have this full acceptance of yourself and this high energy, you can understand everything. You can accept everything. You can learn how to love. And you can prevent conflict from ever happening because you are willing to face every conflict and spread love to even your enemies. Love you guys. Peace. Hope you resonated with something heavy in this, and I'm going to come back at you soon. Much love.